Tamia. Oh my God, a ray of light. She was always helping anybody. I mean, just a perfect example. We ride and she'd see somebody and she literally at the light, we'd stop and she'd get out the car and give them her last $5 or her last dollar. And we're like, what did you just do? Or we're out and she'll suggest, hey, give them some money or feed them. So she had the biggest heart. And, even with her friends, they'll speak to her testimony, how she was always giving advice and she was the one that they would come to. Sometimes she wouldn't take her own advice, but she was the one they would come to for advice. And oh my God, such a giving heart, to me, and I would ride and she went everywhere with me. They saw me, they saw her. So even when we would go to Walmart or Kroger or, the grocery store or the mall, they would be like, where's your daughter? Or, even if she's out and she's on the phone and I'll hear them say, where's your mom? So she was always with me. But in the car, just these little jokes, or she would always do this little thing with her finger when she would sing, and she would just make this face, and I think the girls do it, and it would just crack me up, and I would kind of mock her, and she would laugh, but she would have her laugh was just, it was loud and a little obnoxious, but you would hear her laugh and it'd make you laugh. I mean, it was just loud. We were actually headed to Memphis to kind of, me and her talk daily, and we were on the phone, and I was like, we're going to head down to get you, because she wanted to stay and finish out her semester so it wouldn't mess her credits up when she got here. And I said, we're just going to come on down and get you. It's a good little ride from Florida to Tennessee. And we were on the phone, and she was like, I got to make one more stop to pick something up, and I was like, okay, well, we're on our way, please be ready when we get there. And we're on the phone, and she was like, well, she got an Uber to where she was going, and I was on the phone. I said, and I think most moms are really overprotective, especially if their children are out of town. So I had her location, and I was like, I saw she made it to where she was. She called, she said, I'm here. And I was like, okay. And she was like, well, I'll see y'all when y'all get here. And of course, a couple of phone calls were made. And something was just, in my spirit. And I was like, we got, we're not going fast enough. Let's hurry up and get there. But it was just something in my spirit. And I was literally on the phone with her, and she was like, I'm good. I'll see y'all when y'all get here. And literally not 20 or 30 minutes, not maybe 15 minutes later, I get the phone call where the individual called and said, come get Tamia. I'm like, what you mean? We're on our way. Come get Tamia. And they hang up. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And then we finally get somebody to answer their phone, and they're like, she's dead. And I'm like, what? I was literally just on the phone with her, and she was in good spirits. So I think for me, and just to speak to some of the other parents that may feel like I feel, you tend to question your motherhood. You tend to question yourself as a person. If I had gotten there a day earlier, was it something I could have said? Should she have not gone where she went? Could I have stopped it? You have all these questions, but then, it's not until you start saying, okay, God, I cannot do this. And you're angry at God, you're angry at everybody. Somebody could have stopped this, but it wasn't until I was like, okay, God, I can't do this, and you give them that little bit, that mustard seed. And it wasn't until I had that mustard seed of faith, and it's like, okay, God, I'm gonna need you to tell me what to do. It now puts in retrospect, when you think about how important time is with the person, that when they're there, then you cherish the moments that you didn't have. When we would take family trips, when they were walking, there are several pictures that I have of her and her dad walking hand in hand, and I'm behind them because I was like, that's a moment. And even with my son, she'd hop on his back, and I'd be like, wait a minute, let me get my phone. They were like, Mom, you're doing too much. And I was like, no. So I would always take those moments. And now we look back, and it's like, wow, we have all these pictures and moments of smiles and just, Tamia, and thinking, when we came up with mission, it was nothing but God. I was like, okay, God, I need something that's going to make sense with this nonprofit. I don't want it to just be, I'm a mom, started a nonprofit because my daughter passed. I want this mission, and it has to have a purpose. The nonprofit itself is geared toward parents who've lost children to domestic violence, domestic assault, or suicide. But it's not siloed to that. If a parent has lost a child that's drowned, then grief is grief. So if you've lost a child, we dare not tell you we don't have the resources for you. Even though it feels like your life ends when your child is succumbed to this, life is not over. Now you have a purpose to move forward. Whatever that purpose is, you take this unfortunate instance and you make it work. You reach out to someone else, because though my daughter died by a bullet, your child may have died by drowning. Maybe you can reach out to somebody that can relate directly to how you feel, because when you're dealing with this type of hurt and this type of grief and loss, you feel like you're by yourself. You're not by yourself. Lean in to what's going on. Also, make sure you have a strong support system. The support system is what's going to get you through those days you can't get yourself through days. Also, your faith. The faith is extremely important. Lean into God. And I know sometimes it's hard. It was hard for me when you lose something of that magnitude, that you feel like there's no hope, you're lost, and it takes a toll on your body, your mind, and your spirit. So first and foremost, lean into your support system. Lean into God. Lean into your own faith. Pray, read, meditate, do what you can that'll give you that journey. But don't forget your baby. Keep your baby's memory alive by whatever means necessary, and whatever I can do and this organization can do to assist these parents with keeping their babies alive, I'll do what I can to the best of my ability.